welcome aboard Love. Well, we gave you a Hawaiian greeting, but the boat also gets a Hawaiian greeting before she goes out to sea. I do a chance to ask permission and for safe passage, and for anything that we forgot to ask for, that's asked for too. So they will be tied onto the underneath here. Now with the new bowsprit, it's a little hard to get in there, but it'll get in there. Be fine. Love has mermaids welded onto the front, but in reality I'm the real mermaid on the boat, so it's a little hard to go fast until I get in the water, but once I get in the water I can usually keep up with the boat.
So where'd this stud pick you up?
In Hilo Bay, because of the mermaids. I saw the mermaids and was like, oh well, I need to go on that boat, and he popped his head up and said, hi, Patti. And I went, hi, Spencer's dad? From 15 years before he had come to my preschool with a son that was born here.
Been in a cyclone, February 5th cyclone, about 72, delivering a Gulfweed catch called Tay Mariner from Vanuatu to Fiji. And it was an absolute full cyclone, and I was surfing down monstrous waves in this boat that I had to take every wave and surf down the side and straighten up and surf down. And we took a few waves over the top, but the boat, we survived. And so I changed my view about hard chine boats, and I was going to build a hard chine boat like the Gulfweed, but ended up changing it quite a bit for my own pleasure, having a fore and aft cabin and a center cockpit, but I have to have an aft cockpit for fishing also, and my bowsprit quite long for extra head sails, and the boat self-steers without any kind of monitor. That's just tie the tiller to go into weather, and then actually almost on beam into weather, and then when I'm going downwind I just use what they call a weather twin. It's a dinghy sail with a line to the tiller and shock cord on the other side. Steers perfectly. I've been doing that same technique for like 45 years on my first boat, Damaris Dow, and on Love. This is the only sailboat in the United States, documented U.S. vessel named Love. I think there's 2 motorboats, but this is the only sailboat.
So how long did it take you to build her?
It took 8 years. I had the hull done in 5 weeks, and I said, oh, I've got it made. 5 weeks, but then it's a lot of work. And I used Brent Swain, talked me into doing it what they call an origami technique. So I actually have only one piece of steel for each side of the hull with a cut in it, and then the hull is formed. So I had the hull done in 5 weeks, but doing all the extra stuff like this stainless steel here and the little stainless steel lip and all that stuff, and all this 1-inch pipe handrails, that's what makes it really secure inside the boat. You feel like you're in a safe place, and it doesn't heel over very much. It doesn't seem to take much sail to much wind to move the boat. I don't heel. I just kind of stay on the top. So I'm quite happy with it. Well, you have your own boat, you're always happy with it, I guess. So it's 24 years. It's been a good boat to me.
What'd you start with?
Well, the design was a John Hanna, that boat I got in the cyclone with, and so that's what I was going to do, is to build a boat like that, but I just changed my mind on the way and ended up, and that was a wood boat too. This is all steel.
And that design was a Capt design as well?
Yeah. When I delivered the boat, it didn't have a boom, but it was completely loose-footed. But now it had, I think, a Marconi rig mizzen, and I've gone to a gaff rig mizzen and a gaff rig main because I don't like the track and all the wear on the sails and all that sort of thing. I'm really sold on gaff.
And are you sold on a catch rig?
Yeah, well, when something blows, I drop the main. I'm good. It's just nice and easy thing to deal with. I only put my general up when there's very, very light air. I use my staysail so I don't have to deal with any, moving the lines back and forth. Okay. If I'm going in a pass and have to tack, I just turn back and forth. I like that.
Well, I don't have a staysail. I wish I did, because I'd be using it more.
Yeah. Yeah, well, you know, having that boom there is kind of scary to some people, but it hasn't hit me yet, so I'm quite happy having it there.
So why do you have 5 anchors?
Well, this is a storm anchor. Everybody needs a storm anchor. You know, big 65-pounder here. One time I had to leave an anchorage, and I had to leave. I lost one of the anchors. I had to leave 2 anchors behind. If I could, I might have lost the second one. So I lost. You never have too many anchors, I don't think. You know.
Yeah, we have 3 aboard.
Yeah. And people just give me ones, and so I have a nice stainless steel dampers back there. I'm not excited about dampers, but maybe if I have to use it, I'll use it. Yeah, this fisherman anchor here. This is got the kind of flukes that don't jam the line, don't grab the line in the back of it, and it's a Hirshoff kind of design basically. But it's a 3-part anchor, and I made a few of those and gave them to friends, and I just end up with one of my own. Actually, I think the fisherman anchor is the best all-around anchor. You'll foul it if you turn on it, and so you need a second anchor or stern anchor sometimes, but it grabs just about everything, and it's especially good for coral, so I really like that kind of an anchor. I've never had a windlass. I've only had one winch until just last year, but I got this electric windlass now, and it's a Lumar, and I think it's going to work just fine. I haven't actually had a chance to use it. I've just been throwing the line over. But this anchor, that's a 48-pound CQR-like anchor that I designed and built, and I made a few of them for myself and my friends, and I like it a lot. It's kind of extra pointed, a little more lead at the point, a little bit of curve to the point, but it works good. I guess those newer anchors that they have on are maybe better, but it's been fine for me. Since I've been here for 6 months, I've had a bunch of projects. I can just put a proper grating on here so I don't have to balance myself walking out on the balustrade. Some local Fiji wood, and should last. I don't know. I'll find out. But it's sure nice to have this something little dance platform up here. You know. Like I said, this 1-inch pipe handrail all around the boat. It's just great. You can lash things to it. I can even put my halyards to it. It's just quite happy with that. I had all just galvanized telephone wire for rigging until recently. Now I've got 2 stainless guys there and a couple other stainless ones up here that kind of modernized the rig. So I got the new windlass. The other new thing I built was a new turtle. Built a new turtle while I was here, and my rope boarding ladder. I built that too.
So what about your mast? It looks like they're both made out of wood.
Yeah, my mast only lasted a little over 20 years, and 22 years, I guess, and then they were Sitka spruce. I'd cured them for 8 years, and they were great, but then somehow in Hilo they just started rotting, and they were gone. When I went to Samoa, I had to make 2 new masts, and I made them out of pressure-treated wood, 2x8s mostly, and dried them down, planed them, and wet system glued them together, and they seem to be good. And then down here I have all my port lights. My boat was basically built with recycled material. I had 2 new pieces of steel for the hull that I bought, 35 feet long, and then I just bought, this is 15 cents a pound steel. All the rest of it's 15 cents a pound used steel. This is Lexan. A boat got rid of their Lexan and replaced it with tempered glass. So I got their half-inch Lexan and cut circles and made my port lights out of that. So that works good. My hatches actually are cedar, and the main hatch is underneath the dinghy, and this one here seems to work great. And I always put plexiglass on top so I get light. So I get a lot of light in the boat. In my old age, I've had a little bit of difficulty taking the last wrinkles out of the top of the gaff sometimes with the peak halyard. And so, because I never had any winches, I was using block and tackle and stuff. But finally, I got a winch for the halyard for my top, for my gaff peak now. So I actually have one on my mizzen too. I had it. So So I got like 5 winches now, I think, and I think that's a good idea when you get older.
I feel safe on board because Captain Bilton knows everything about it, and he brings spare parts. You know what happens when something breaks? He'll just replace it. Makes it.
Do you have a welder on board?
No. I hope to not ever do any more welding. It's just it's hard, dirty work. I almost cut my hand off with a grinder one time, and it's just like get on fire. The fumes. I'll just pass on welding whenever I can. Yeah, now I've got all hard ratlins. I broke a shroud one time north of my trip from Southport, Australia to Hilo, above Australia, just approaching New Zealand, and I broke a shroud, and so I had a Marconi rig with track and all that, and so it bent the track, and I had to climb the shrouds to get the sail down, and I only had rope ladders to go up. Too difficult. Since then, I'm always hard ratlins to go up and down the mast, and so it makes a world of difference if it got to blow to be able to get up there and do things.
So what do you think about that, Patti?
I think they're a blast. One of my jobs is to oil all this teak wood going up and down. So it's a little wiggly at first, and trying to carry oil so that you don't drop it or drop any on deck, but you have enough to be able to go all the way up. I feel good and safe about it, and it doesn't give me the shaky legs or anything. It's cool. This was a man's boat before, and so might have been lacking in some of the soft creature comforts. So with Captain's wonderful old sewing machine, it does a great job, and I was able to do weather prevention. So this one all zips down, but mostly in the tropics, then we have to have shade cloth. And when we don't have the tender on board, right, it comes on, then there's a nice windshield, and it can be raining cats and dogs, or what's another nautical term about that? And you're safe and snug in there, and we can have hot cocoa, and it's
So what's it like normally at sea with this boat?
Well, I usually just have my dinghy sail going down to the tiller and a shock cord on the other side. And so if I'm paying attention to what I'm doing, I'm usually sitting here looking around.
So when you're sitting there
back at this upper poop deck, this piece of wood here, this 2x or whatever it is, 12 or 14, that's been out in the weather for 24 years. A friend of mine gave it to me, and it's just all I've ever done is oil it. I don't do anything but oil my wood.
So when it gets rough, you rope yourself in right there?
Well, if it's rough, I got a harness and I just hook onto things. Yeah. Well, I try. If it's really rough, I don't like to be outside too much. Yeah, the boat pretty much takes care of you. You know, I don't try and get any place very fast. But it's not designed to be a fast boat, and I like to be at sea, and so I just like to be comfortable and feel secure. So that's and it's a good spot. I got 2 GPSs now. I originally started sailing with just sextant, like that's the only thing you can do. And actually, I taught celestial navigation for like 16 years at community colleges in Oregon, and also the community college in Micronesia, where I started teaching third language English speakers, and then taught it in Vanuatu. It used to be called New Hebrides Condominium. And then I've taught in Samoa, but mostly in Oregon. I wrote a textbook for third language English speakers called Captain Blackie's Epitome of Celestial Navigation. And I was able to teach the Micronesians with it, and Oregonians were able to do it too. So that was fun. The grain over here, it's like, it was a piece of, so old, it was unbelievable. It had a couple of nails in it, and there was only 2 oysters. And and on one side smooth, the other side just deeply grooved from the weathering. And so it looked like good wood. There's no rot on it, and it's some kind of pine, I guess. But so I just grooved it up. That's one of my projects that I did here for cyclone season. This is my second cyclone season in Savo Savo. I spent the cyclone season here 20 years ago. And my youngest son, Spencer, was born here at the Savo Savo Hospital. So but back then you didn't have any moorings. You just come and anchored, and it's a great hurricane hole. They had a hurricane came through here a few years ago, and a lot of boats were damaged, but that was mostly because a couple of boats didn't take down all their self-tending jib things, and they unfurled, and those boats broke anchor and hit a bunch of other boats, and that was the main problem. Several boats were nice and secure. So anyhow, I like this place a lot. I don't motor very often. In fact, I still have diesel in my boat from 24 years ago. All my keel is tanks, water tanks, 2 water tanks, a fuel tank, and a ballast tank. The rigging, these are locust, black locust, and then ropes dropped for the ones that are near the mast. When they hit the mast, it doesn't cause damage. Or when these guys here hit the deck or something with the rope, it's more forgiving to the block and to the rope. So, and they look cool. That's why I like them. Now they were beautiful black locust, but this is many years of built-up oil. Now it just gets darker and darker. I spent a lot of time sanding. I love sanding. I'm just obsessed with
I have some sanding on my boat.
Oh well, but it's something I'm doing for myself. Like those blocks. I'll spend. I get it down to 1,000, 2,000 grit sandpaper and just get it so smooth and nice. Like this toilet seat here, I couldn't find a good toilet seat. There's no good marine toilet seats that I could find anywhere. I was going to buy a real expensive, like a carbon fiber toilet seat, but it wouldn't fit the marine toilet. So I got one big block of this hardwood. They call it Brazilian cherry or Patti or something like that. And I had to cut it with a handsaw, so I have the same piece of wood for the top and the bottom. And then I grooved the top of the toilet seat so it shows the grain, and then sanded and sanded and sanded, so it's almost as nice as plastic now.
So how's it feel when you sit on it?
I don't let anybody sit on it, actually. No, I'm just kidding.
You'll have to give it a try.
No,
First-hand experience is always the best.
Yeah, well, yeah. I tried to design as fancy as the most expensive toilet seats I could find in the different department stores, and then they have the little groove on the top of the seat part, and then also to show the grain nicely. Patti, I think. But they call it Brazilian cherry. I use the same thing for making my captain's berth. I just used this for a storage area forever with the engine room and the toilet, but I decided one day to make it a berth back here. I almost finished it. I haven't put any drawers in or anything yet, but
You comfortable back there, Patti?
Yes, even with the extra stuff of the bicycles under here and my dive gear and what is that suitcase that we couldn't stash any other place, but they can get moved, and there's a nice fan, and the portholes, you can open those up, and the derades let the air in. Cleaning lady didn't get in there yet. There's dust bunnies. Oh, and the engine.
This is the newest thing that we've done on the boat. It's a hand start Saab diesel, SABB, Norwegian diesel company. I think all they ever made was just diesel motors, and I'm able to hand crank it and start it like that. You just do like that for a while, then put the compression release on it. But Patti tried it a few times and couldn't do it. So in Samoa, we ordered from England. Actually, these are made in Italy. It's called a Dynastart. It's a generator and a starter motor in one. So it's not, I think it only puts out 11 amps or something like that, but it starts the motor real handily. You just put the old button. Like a little invention. So now she can start the engine easily herself.
So does that actually make electricity once you start
Yes,
it?
right.
Then you click it over and it'll charge your batteries.
You don't have to do anything. Yeah, it's hooked up to the charge or start the motor at any time. Yeah, it's great. Yeah.
Yeah. What electronics do you have on board?
I have 2 solar panels, an inverter, and electronics. Well, I have a Furuno depth sounder and course plotter, and I have a single sideband I'm going to install someday, and I have a little shortwave radio for receiving, and an extra depth sounder, and something else in there. Yeah. But
one of the cool things you said you have is you have inReach.
Yes,
absolutely.
absolutely.
That's Patti.
Pride and joy being able to keep in contact with all the family. It's just. I think my pop wouldn't have let me go if I didn't have one of those. And we also have a wonderful stereo system, so I like to make sure we have enough electricity for that. Oh, and of course a blender. Yeah, you got to have our smoothies, and many fans. So electricity is important, and these 2 little solar panels work just fine. Oh, along with.
How many watts are your solar panels?
I don't know. That's technical stuff.
Do these count?
No, I have no idea about the amps and stuff like that. A buddy of mine just actually he had 2 giant ones, and I mounted them on the back of the boat. These 2 giant solar panels, and it looked they were so big it looked like giant wings back there. And I said, "This is way too ugly." So, Keith, he had some smaller ones. These are shell solar panels, and they're killer. They're just all I could want. I had 2 old used solar panels before, but lost one of them in that same storm that broke my shroud in New Zealand years ago. That was my 84-day single-handed passage that I made it extra long after that bad storm.
So most of the time the solar panel works fine like this, but if it's early in the morning, I can set it up this way and the sun comes in. Well, actually, oops. So this is for the evening light. The other one goes up for the morning light. And if a big wave comes, it will just, we can flatten it out, or if we're too close to other boats, so it's convenient there. Oh, that would be for the morning sun too. But in the meantime, it just rests like this and it never seems to go astray.
And also now I have a real spinnaker pole. I had that nice piece of old handrail, 3-inch handrail from a building I demolished in Portland once, and used that for my pole for holding out my self-steering dinghy sail. But now I got a real spinnaker pole and a proper spinnaker pole fitting to go on the front of the mast.
How often do you fly a spinnaker?
Never. I flew a spinnaker once one time I went down to New Zealand, and I had it flying just up to the point that the Force 8 gale nailed me before the North Cape, and busted my wooden spinnaker pole into little pieces. It's just pieces splintered all over the place. And I just, once I got the sail put away, I said, no more spinnakers for me ever. It looks pretty when it's up there, but it's not worth it.
It's always a problem getting them down.
Yeah, I think these look pretty too. Baggy Wrinkles, I don't know how it got that name, but in American Samoa there is the Robert E. Siemens 120-foot sailing ship that does educational tours for kids, adults, and they were getting new ones, and their old ones weren't bad, so we said, yeah, we'll have that on Love. It protects the sails. So.
Patti says she's going to make some more and do the rest of them up the whole way.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thanks. I didn't know that was on my list.
Can't see forward anyhow, so I just I've never used it except for once.
But you were going to put a steering wheel there?
But I do. I put it in there and I've used it, but just motoring once when I did some, but it's just too much trouble to motor and too much trouble to steer all the time, so I just gave it up. This thing here has AIS on it now. Just the VHS has it.
Yeah, but that's only receive.
Oh yeah. Oh, yours transmits.
There's places where you have to transmit. Indonesia is one.
Oh,
You have to have a transmitter on board in order to go to Indonesia.
I'm not going, I guess.
No, I guess not. Yeah, we have a transmitter. We're transmitting right now, so if you turn it on, you'll see us, or you should.
Right.
Let's see if you
List. Give me a list. SV Aquarius, right there.
Yeah.
Let me see what direction you are. Information. Eleanor here. She's bearing 275. Yep, that's her. Let me see who else. Next. SV Aquarius. You're bearing 101 degrees. Oh, that's right. I can see that's true. And Green Duck. He's all the way up there, but in the other end of the marina, bearing 69. Yeah, these are magic things, aren't they?
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah. And then I could. Yeah, it's got. It's just like it's an extra GPS. It's phenomenal. So I got my old GPS. This GPS, that GPS, the Garmin's inReach is a GPS. Boy, if we got lost now, and I got 2 sextants and all my charts and plotting tables and stuff. So, at getting lost now, there's no excuse for it, is there?
What's important in the kitchen is stashing good food that's easy to reach, easy to cook. You know, open the can, put it in the pan, and it's not gimbaled, so it just has these nice little gizmos that hold it in place, and it works just fine.
Yeah, I hate gimbal stoves. I was cooked on a treasure hunting expedition back in the early 60s, and if you're facing athwart ships, any kind of action, it's like dangerous. You're working up against the stove. So I have my other boat and this boat here, I made it so that you can just stand athwart ships. You got your feet in the right direction. You're nice and stable. And then I have all these little fiddle things that hold the pots in place, so it's never a problem. So I think it's a safer way to go by myself. Of course, people who have gimbal stoves, I think that's great too. So whatever. It's one of the things I'd always just had until I left this time 2 years ago. I always had just a sheetrock bucket for a sink, and now I got a real stainless steel deep sink. Having a big deep sink, and it's just the cat's meow as far as I'm concerned.
And no wasting of water, using a pump. Oh, there's a gimbaled light.
Yeah, a little kerosene light, just in case my panels give out or something.
So do you have fresh water and salt water going to it, or just fresh water?
This is a steel boat. You don't put salt water in your boat. You know, it's just not cool. So I just fresh water pump inside. Yeah, we wash at sea. We don't always wash the dishes outside in the cockpit. So you don't wash dishes inside anyhow.
So moving on to a man's boat, what happens? Oh, the sheets. Oh, geez. Could we have some nice sheets? No, it's got a triangle bed. So what am I going to do? Oh, I get out the sewing machine and measure, and get a cushion made for the center. And now, this is a comfortable berth.
Can I see that jump again, please?
And what's fantastic is the boat number. It's my best friend's birthday and her husband's birthday.
Wow.
Yes. So it was meant to be. Anything else? And then, how much stuff was I allowed to bring on board? He told me 1 duffel bag. It's like, really? Well, good thing he's already got a guitar on board, but we found a good place to stash it. And since that was stashed up there too, then the French horn gets to get stashed up here too. I had to forego the dulcimer and the ukulele, but there's enough. That's enough to play with, I guess.
So can we hear some French horn?
Sure. right now, or
Oh, yeah.
it takes me a couple minutes to get it out. So you can.
We'll do it later.
Okay.
Can I play it?
Sure, of course. Can you?
How long have you two been sailing together?
2 years. 2 years of May 20th. Just maybe 2 years of May 20th.
And you met in Hilo.
Yeah, well, I originally met her when she was, my son was in Head Start, and I was doing in the council for Head Start, and she was teaching life,
First aid. And
first aid and
CPR.
stuff like that. Yeah.
And he offered to be my dummy. It's
Yeah.
like, we don't use dummies, we use mannequins.
Yeah, so, but that's why I originally met her. But she lives near a friend of mine in Pahoa on the Big Island, and but I just saw her driving around in her '59 Volvo regularly. But it wasn't until just before I left that she came down the boat with her mermaid outfit and says, "I'm a mermaid too," because of the mermaids on the boat.
Do you need crew?
So last night you talked a little bit about the knockdown. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Oh, she was on watch. It's the middle of the night. I mean, on watch means you watch the self-steering, see what things are going on. And actually, I had double reefed and hove to because I saw a giant thunderhead on the horizon, and there was a lightning in the doldrums crossing the equator area. And I thought, it's just so anyhow we were just moving along real gently. And wind was blowing, but nothing serious.
Maybe 15 knots, so
Yeah.
everything was okay, and everything seemed all right, and all of a sudden it went to 50. I swear, 50 knots, and the boat heeled over, and I'm no longer sitting in my seat. I'm perpendicular to the water, and in the cockpit, and going, Captain, I'm not comfortable with this.
I heard that. Yeah, she said, I'm not comfortable.
And what was your response?
Oh, I just looked out the hatch there, and I saw we were heeled over, and I said, it'll probably pass, and all of a sudden, we heeled over more. So I had to come out, and I had to go up on the windward side because we were heeled over quite a bit, and then I come over all the way to around, and had to stand on the handrail because we were over, pretty far. But then all you have to do, I did, was just undo the halyards, and with a gaff rig, you just go, and then you're right upright. And then it stayed windy for a few minutes.
That's not all. Then, I'm seeing his blinking green light going around, and he's got to pull up all the sail with all that wind going on and tie it all up, and I'm not being able to help at all. It's like I'm back at the tiller, and it's like, so everything got handled. Nothing broke on the knockdown. That was my biggest fear. If there's I'd never been in a knockdown before, and he said he'd only been in one, and I figured out 20 years of experience, he's not going to have another one. Okay, it was the first big leg of our journey.
That's a lot of experience right there.
Yeah, 20 years. I felt safe. So nothing broke. It's like, are you sure? Checking everything out. All we did, we lost 2 buckets. That's it. 2 and that's,
buckets, it's okay.
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, we can make do without those. And the next day, I felt really, really tired. I think just emotionally, it just kind of drained me. So he said, "Well, do you want to put the sail up?" It's like, no, let's. We just inched along, and for a whole day, double reefed, and it's like, okay. Were we jigger rigged by then? Oh no, we didn't. Yeah,
we were jigger rigged because the main was all the way down, right?
So
we just jigger rigged with light air, so just still there. But it keeps us stable and keeps us moving, and we're never in a rush to be anywhere. We like to be at sea.
So my biggest fear proved that it's okay when that stuff happens. If you're with a good captain on a good boat, then it's.
Last night when we were out to dinner, you were talking about skating down and the waves.
Oh, when I was in the hurricane.
Yeah,
that was like February 5th, either 72 or 73. I think it's 70, probably 73, on the delivery between Vanuatu and here in Fiji, just for somebody else's boat. That was that Gulf Weed catch that Tay Mariner was the name of it, Wood. And I had a couple of really nice ladies for crew, a doctor and a poet, a New Zealand poet and an Australian doctor, and trip went fine until that low that was in Tonga turned into a cyclone and came the other way. I knew the low was there when we left, but I said, it turns into something that'll go southeast like they're supposed to, but it didn't. And so it nailed Fiji, and then it nailed us. And we were calm before it, just the calm before the storm, completely becalmed, and I knew it was coming from the radio. And go to start the motor, and the motor was dead. It had water in the jacket, water in the engine, so So we had to sit there, and the swell starts coming up. These long swells, like a football field length. And then the swell gets deeper and deeper, and all of a sudden, whoosh, these gusts of wind just sweep along the surface of the swell. And then it gets bigger and bigger, and to the point where it's just the wind just comes up. I went as fast as I could, as long as I could, and then I ended up with I was mostly jigger rig, and then I took the mizzen down when it got really big, and had a little tiny handkerchief of a jib, and I was lashed on by just several ropes. It was a wheel. It had a proper wheel on it, and I just sat there, and every wave, it's the height of them, you have no idea. It's just like at least a telephone pole high, and they're just coming up right behind me, and looking up, oh boy, and then the boat would just raise up, and I'm just looking over it with daytime. I'm just looking over like a cliff. You're just looking straight down. All you can do is whip the tiller all the way over, and the boat would just skyrocket down the side of the wave, just like a surfboard. And I've never surfed, except on that big boat. It was a 9-ton, 10-ton sailboat. And then as soon as the swell passes, the wave passes, they just start again. You look up, here it comes again. You take off, and that worked just fine for quite a while. But then one time I was going down so fast, and all of a sudden I hear this rumbling sound. And I was thinking, God, it was a boat, because it was going so fast down the waves. The girl said it was peaking out at 17 knots on the little knot meter every time I went down the swell. And then it clicked back when I stopped. And but yeah, it wasn't any vibration in the boat. It was a sound. And I got the next wave and looked back, and here's a white line across the horizon. Just a white line. Oh, shit. I got no time to think about it. I'm just surfing these waves. Next time I get up, I look back. It's a white line. It's a solid white line. It's a giant wave breaking from horizon to horizon. It's just coming. And so, I don't know, a couple of waves later or something, all of a sudden it's there. And so instead of looking up at a giant wave that you ride to, you see 6 feet of breaking wave, and it's coming down right on top of you. It's just like, and then immediately I'm in the cockpit over the top of the wheel. And all I do is, I don't even remember what exactly the feeling, but I just back over the wheel, back on the thing, and turn the wheel and get down the wave, and that happened 2 or 3 times. So that but we were making such really good time that we were only in the bad part maybe 2 or 3 hours, something like that, maybe a little longer, I don't know. But when we were done, Dr. Armstrong looked at me, and I was solid black from my waist to my chest, just from the ropes around me here, and I had black and blue, black eyes, there was no part of my body bigger than about that wasn't black. And she said she worked at the emergency room in Melbourne, and she said she's seen all kinds of accidents. She says you'd never seen anybody ever so drastically bruised, but no bones sticking out, no blood, nothing broken. It's just bruised. And I was just like, but a few days, that's fine. The black eyes lasted a while, but of course one eye goes red, and stuff like that.
And again, another story that convinces me this is the right guy to go sailing with. Especially, what are the ladies doing while you're doing all that? They were safe and sound inside the cabin. Oh
yeah, but when the big waves they had like louvers in the back of the companionway, and when the wave that broke over the boat hit, it was just like it was like a fire hose, just a high pressure fire hose that shot here and put all kinds of water in just in that moment. And so they were flushing water down the sinks and the toilet and stuff like that, just keep drying things out, cleaning out the bilges.
So what's the most important thing about safety, or some safety things that you'd like to
stay on the boat? No matter what, stay on the boat.
Oh, safety thing. If somebody falls over, stop the boat.
Don't think about anything else. Just stop the boat.
Stop the boat. You're not going to see that person probably. They can see the boat. They can get to the boat. But stop the boat. That's the main thing. I knew a fellow who got lost, and this couple of guys sailing from Galapagos to Marquesas, and they left just after me, and they get into port, and it's just one of them, and the other guy in the middle of the day had been knocked over by the boom. And the guy threw him a bunch of cushions, and then goes to start the motor, get the motor started, turn around, never saw him again. Saw some cushions, but never saw him again. if he had just stopped the boat completely, dropped the sails, stopped. The guy was perfectly conscious, grabbing the floats, grabbing the cushions. He could have made it to the boat. But, I've been in the aircraft carrier where we had the captain throw the Oscar, the dummy, over the side, with a little thing with a helmet and a life vest, throw him over the side and say, man overboard drill. We got 5,000 people in the aircraft carrier. We got helicopters, we got launch boats. We never found Oscar once,
No?
Not once. You threw the dummy away, you have to get another one for the next exercise. It's like pilots, pilots go in the water, you find the helmet sometimes. You can't see anything in the water. If any, but just stopping the boat. And another thing was the Black Rose. They were just completing a circumnavigation. Starting the circumnavigation. They built years building the boat, going between Aussie and Kiwi, and guy fell over during the night. He had a whistle. Didn't have a light. Had a whistle. He's blowing a whistle. I mean, they knew he was over right when he fell over. Huh? Start the motor, turn around, hear the whistle. Couldn't hear it with the motor going. Turn the motor off, hear the whistle, start the motor, go over. Where is he? Can't see him. Hear the whistle, go over, start the motor, go. He did this all the rest of the night. By dawn, he was almost dead. They spotted him. All night long, he saw the boat. Every time he was swimming to the boat all the time, and every time he'd be swimming to it, he'd start off again. All night it was like that. He was just about dead, and he just went back to Kiwi, and he and his wife got off the boat, and the other couple circumnavigated. But if they just stopped the boat and just kept it there, he would have been okay. But as it was, he almost died. So those two examples tell me, and those are the only true stories I know of, something that really happened with somebody fell overboard in the passage. And both cases, if they just kept the boat stopped, they probably would have been okay.
So I understood that expectation. If I fell off the boat, then I'm to swim to it. I know he'll stop it as quick as he can, and I can swim miles. So okay, that's
Swim the boat.
Yeah, swim to the boat. You can see the boat, but you can't see me.
Yeah.
So, but that was it. But so then he put the other rule: don't stay on the boat. So no swimming during mid passages or anything like that. So I was a little sad about that. Really flat water and things like that, and it's calm.
Well, if you have more people on board, I think you can
Maybe.
swim.
Yes.
Because then you have more people to look out. You can leave 2 people on board and then the rest of the people swimming. But if not, if anything happens, you can't have 2 people off the boat in the middle of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
If there's nobody on the boat, what happens if you lose the boat?
We were in a dead calm. We spent 56 days going on first boat between Acapulco and Costa Rica, and so we dead but calm for a lot of that. And Murphy Hubbard, Murph the Surf, one of the guys was working in the first beginning of the Hobie Alters, Hobie surfboard business and catamaran business. But Murphy was one of my crew members, one of my partners, and he was swimming out there one day, dead calm. Tiniest breeze came up, and all of a sudden the boat just taken off. And Murphy's just swimming after the boat. And all of a sudden the boat gets going. And next thing, boy, he puts his head down and he just churned water for 3 or 4 minutes to catch the boat. Your boat could just take off all of a sudden, And the thing is, I've swum out in the open ocean before, and you get out there and you swim away from the boat for a while, and that's fine. Oh, there's the boat over there, Then all of a sudden a little swell comes. You don't see the boat for a second. You go, whoa. The most important thing is have good big water tanks. Doesn't matter how many water makers you have a good water tank. Have more than enough water. And me, I always carry at least 6 months worth of food. Staples, just in case, I've had several long passages, which I enjoy. But other than that, boy, having 1-inch pipe handrails around the boat. Not many boats are going to have that, but boy, that's sure a nice feature.
So do you fish much?
I used to fish a lot, but I've kind of, I spent 16 years being a vegan, so I kind of got out of fishing. I'm eating just about everything now, but actually not much fish. So she'd really love me to go fishing all the time, but I may get back into it.
Because I'm not any good at it. All I seem to do is lose lures.
Buddhist vegan mentality, you know, so a little hard to get enthusiastic about helping somebody kill fish.
And I come back with an empty bag every day, but a full heart. You know, I've had a blast. Then they come over and bring us a fish, and then I don't know. Then they bring another fish, and then they find out that they don't have a cooking stove proper, and so he welded up something for them, and then they invite us over to their house for dinner, and
yeah, I took my generator of my cutting wheels and everything, grinders and everything, and made them a nice grill for grilling fish. They had a piece of steel out there that's all gone, and I put it together. It worked out just fine. Actually, I used some of it to make. They didn't have a machete at the time, so I cut a couple of strips off this piece of steel plate, and made a machete for them and a machete for me. And I mean, it's a heavy machete. You cut down a tree, but yeah.
But they were very grateful. Their government doesn't give them much of anything as far as supplies, and they stay there 6 months.
And which country was that?
That's Saguaro Atoll, Northern Cooks.
Oh, Northern Cooks.
I've been there 3 times now. It's just more regulations each time, you know. Now you can't go to the other islands, and the rangers there all the time. The previous ranger that when I was there, the first time I was there, Tom Neal was there. This old hermit that lived there forever, you know. And you can eat all the coconut crab you want and go to the other islands, but next time they had some rangers there. Oh, the guy that was the ranger that second time, he was had gone on the Cook Island traditional canoes up to Hawaii and back. So he really was into trying to learn navigation. Well, I taught navigation for 16 years for sextants. I had an extra little plastic sextant. I gave him that and gave him a quick course in celestial navigation and a copy of some of my textbook, and so hopefully he get a chance to do some other navigation.
Oh, we got to get the horn out of there. Yeah, we got to see this horn.
Like my cases on my guitar is pretty good though.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know
but
why
it just seems like horn cases don't last.
I think people spit in them and stuff.
Mellow
French
horn.
Mellow.
French horn is left-handed. Yeah, those fingers know how.
Well, I used to, but not now.
Yeah, it's a little stiff.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
Okay. Only listen to the right notes.
Great.
Really want to thank you guys
Thank you. Really great to
letting
meet
us
you.
tour your boat. I really appreciate it.
Our pleasure, and it's a favor to us, you know, so we can share it with our family and friends and give them vicarious thrills.
That's it.
If you like this video, give us a like down below and click here to subscribe. That really helps us. And if you want to watch more of us, click one of those.